The iron chains were on my wrists, every link carved with runes meant to suppress wolf blood. This wasn't the first time I'd worn them, but it would be the last. Keep your head down. Queen Isolde's voice drifted from behind me, like a knife slowly slicing through silk. She fastened the heavy gray wool cloak with her own hands, pulling the hood so low it covered most of my face. Remember, you are the last daughter of the Vark family from the south. Don't look up. Don't speak. Theodore won't look at you twice. I nodded. The great hall doors opened before me. Light flooded in, mixed with the scent of burning pine from the hearth and the heat radiating from hundreds of wolf-kind bodies. I stepped forward. The chains scraped against the stone floor. Someone whispered. Then I heard him. Theodore Greaves, Wolf of the Frozen Lands, King of the North. His voice came from the high seat, low and impatient, metallic like a sword not yet drawn but already cutting air. This is her. Isolde stopped beside me, her hand pressing on my shoulder blade. Yes, Your Majesty, Lyanna Vark. The last bloodline of the Southern Vark family, according to your agreement with the late Earl Vark. She will be your contract bride. Silence. The crack of wood in the hearth was clear. Theodore stood. That pressure pushed down from the high seat like an invisible wall, rolling over every row of standing nobles, finally crashing onto me. I don't care whose daughter she is. This marriage is a contract. A transaction. Politics. His voice came closer. I will never love her. Those 3 words fell. And somewhere in the hall someone gasped. Lift her hood. Isolde's hand slid from my shoulder. Someone shoved me from behind. My hood fell back. Light cut into my eyes. He stood before me. Dark hair like frozen lake water. Eyes the color of pale gray. Almost translucent, with a ring of gold around each pupil. His gaze traveled across my face, and then his pupils contracted sharply. Something new layered itself into the air like spilled honey, like something older than any contract. Alpha, Omega, Fate. Theodore's face went pale. He stood frozen, throat moving, fingers curling at his sides. Then he stepped back. No, impossible. His breathing went uneven. Take her away. Take her to the North Tower. No one approaches her without my command. 2 guards stepped forward, grabbing my arms. The chains scraped loudly as they dragged me toward the side door. My hood fell back over my eyes, but I heard Theodore's voice behind, mellow, suppressed, like a wolf with its throat caught. This contract. I need to reconsider. The hall erupted as I was pulled through the door. My last glimpse was of Isolde turning to face Theodore, and on her elegant face not surprise, not confusion, fear. The chains were too heavy. I dragged them up the North Tower's stone steps, every stride sending pain shooting through my ankles. But worse than the pain in my ankles was the slow recovery of my heart in my chest. He smelled it. He knew I was Omega, the thing I'd been hunted for in the South, branded for, spit on for. And I'd just become the North King's contract bride. The North Tower windows were barred with iron. I sat on the cold stone bed, chains locked to a ring on the wall. It was getting dark. The lock turned. Cain opened the door. He carried a wooden tray with a piece of dark bread and a bowl of meat broth. He set it on the floor and stepped back to the threshold. He wouldn't let anyone bring you food. I came on my own. You didn't have to. The Queen also ordered no one to approach the North Tower. I looked up at him. His face didn't change, but the door behind him was cracked open, and there were no other footsteps in the hall. Then why did you come? Cain was silent for a moment. He punched the council table this afternoon, shattered it. Then he stood there looking at his bleeding hand and asked me one question. What did he ask? He said, "What do you smell?" My stomach clenched. What did you say? I said I smelled iron and ash. Something shifted in Cain's silent face, like a crack opening in stone. I've never seen that expression on him. I looked down. The chains slid across the bed's edge. He knows I'm Omega. Cain's back stiffened. Are you sure? He stepped back. When an alpha smells his fated Omega, his instinct is forward. But he stepped back. The faster he retreated, the stronger what he smelled must have been. You came from the south. Those wounds. The runes on the chains. What did you do? It wasn't what I did. It's what I was born as. I turned my left wrist over. On the inside. A scar had healed black, curved like a broken moon. Pierced through by 3 crossed iron lines. Cain's pupils shrank violently. Black witch mark. Your exile blood. My mother was. I inherited it. In the south. An omega with which blood has only one fate. My family hid me for 19 years. Until the tax collectors found out. Until they branded this onto my back. Until my father used his last breath to buy this marriage. Sent me to the north. To an alpha who would never love me. Because at least here the northern wolves didn't know the mark. Cain's hand pressed against the doorframe. Knuckles white. He'll kill me. He will. But I still came. Cain looked at me. Something hard in his eyes. Because if I didn't bring that bowl today, you'd be dead by dawn. And Theodore wouldn't know. He thinks he hates you. He doesn't know that what he smelled will make him regret every night for the rest of his life that he didn't come. He closed the door. I sat in the darkness. Holding the bowl of lukewarm broth. A thin layer of fat floated on its surface. When I took the first sip, my stomach spasmed like it had been scalded. Then all the hunger came rushing back. When the broth was finished, I heard footsteps at the end of the corridor. Heavier. Slower. Each step fighting itself. The footsteps stopped outside the door. Through the thick oak. I heard his breathing uneven. Heavy. Like an animal caged too long. Fighting the urge to tear through the bars. Theodore. He didn't push the door open. He didn't speak. He just stood there. I could smell him. Through the wood and iron, that Firenforgeteran scent. That heat seeping from deep in his skin. The alpha force burning just beneath the surface. A dull thud came from outside. His forehead pressing against the door. Then he spoke. Hoarse and low. Cracking with restraint. What are you? I didn't answer. Answer me. Come in. I said. Push the door open. See for yourself. Silence stretched. I heard his breathing shift from rough to rougher. Then his teeth grinding. His boots shifting half a step back. He left. The footsteps faded down the corridor. Disappearing into the stairs. I leaned against the wall. My back against cold stone. The chains rose and fell with my chest. He left. He controlled himself. That should have been a good thing. But my fingers were trembling. Because in that moment as he turned away, I heard something caught in his throat, not anger. Not Commander Wolf's whimper. The sound of losing a mate. Outside the North Tower window. The moon rose. Far across the snow plains. A lone wolf howled. 3 days. I marked time by the shifting shadows of the iron bars. Cain came with food every evening. Never lingering. On the 3rd day, he left a roll of bandages beside the tray. My wrists had been rubbed raw by the chains. Horseshoes struck stone in the great hall. Border people had arrived. They dragged me down from the North Tower, past old wolfskin banners. The hall was full. Theodore sat on the high seat in dark gray leather armor. Iron plates on his shoulders. His face was colder than 3 days ago. His gray eyes held nothing. Isolde sat to his right in a dark green gown. On the left sat a man I didn't recognize, tall, lean, with an old scar across his jaw, rust-red hair, and amber eyes. His attendant's boots were stained with red mud. Southern border red earth. Lyanna Vark. Theodore's voice fell. Come forward. I walked. The chains dragged across the floor. This is Lord Gregor, ruler of the southern red earth territory, he says. Gregor cut him off. I said I've seen her before. 3 years ago the southern tax collectors went to the Vark estate. I went to that house. 3 new graves in the yard. I asked the owner where his daughter was. He said he had only a son who died of sickness. I am his daughter. I said. Gregor's gaze dropped to my left wrist. What are you hiding? Isolde spoke. Lord Gregor has traveled far for the border trade agreement. Show me her wrist. Gregor stared at me. A slow smile spreading. That mark. I've seen something like it in the south. Theodore's gaze moved from Gregor to me. Stand up. Show me your left hand. I extended my hand. Palm up. The moon-shaped black scar. Gregor gasped. Then laughed. Black witch blood. The Northern King's bride carries Southern exile blood. This contract itself is. Theodore moved. One stride carried him 3 steps down. His hand catching Gregor's collar and lifting him off his chair. Are you done? His voice was a whisper against Gregor's ear. Done. Then sit down. Your red earth blood may be dirty, but you don't get to spill it in my hall. He dropped Gregor back into the chair. The wood groaned. Theodore turned to face me. He walked to me and raised his hand. His fingers touched the mark on my wrist. Tracing its edge. Gold exploded from his pupils. You weren't executed in the South. You survived. You were sent to me. Why? Because you're the strongest alpha in the North. Send me here. The hunters won't cross the border. So you see this as sanctuary. I see you as the last wall. His fingers tightened on my wrist. His jaw muscles jumped. Walls fall. Then let them. Dead silence. Theodore turned to F.A. C.E. the hall. The contract stands. The wedding date doesn't change. The ceremony is in 3 days. Whoever brings up her brand again will test my claws themselves. The guards escorted me back to the North Tower. As I stepped onto the first stair, I heard Isolde's low voice to a servant. Keep the Southern Lord here. Red wine tonight. I didn't turn back. That night I didn't sleep. Before dawn. I heard faint sounds from the corridor. Someone was working the lock on my door. It cracked open. A young maid. Chestnut hair in a tight bun. Carrying a clay bowl in her hands. Who are you? Her lips trembled. The Queen sent me with medicine. She said your wrists need treatment. I looked at the amber liquid in the bowl. A sheen of oil on the surface. Slightly sweet. Slightly bitter. And something sour. How did the Queen know my wrists were injured? Her gaze darted away. If you don't trust it, I'll drink first. She took a tiny sip. I reached for the bowl. She stepped forward. Her skirt hem lifting red mud on her shoes. Your shoes. Southern red earth. Her hand froze. Her other hand went to her waist. Beneath the skirt, something flat and hard was hidden there. The Queen sent you. But someone else found you first. Gave you something. She bit her lip so hard it almost bled. They have my brother in the red earth mines. Lord Gregor took him. If I brought this bowl to your Lipsweth, or you drank or not, as long as you touched its rim, they'd let him go. I recognized the scent now. Greythorn root. Ground into juice and mixed with honey. On contact with wolf blood. It would burn through the veins. This wasn't poison. It was a marking agent. If my fingers touched this liquid, the scent would cling to me for more than a month. And Greythorn only grew in one place, the Southern Red Earth territory. Put the bowl down. Answer me one question. She slowly lowered it. The clay chimed against stone. When was your brother taken? 3 days ago. Did Gregor take him himself? His red-robed soldiers. I stood, bent, and picked up the bowl. My fingertips were wet with amber liquid. The sour-sweet scent wrapped around me immediately. I touched it. Now they won't release your brother. They've gotten what they wanted. You've lost your use. Her face drained completely. But she didn't cry. Take the bowl. Go back to the Queen. Tell her I drank it. Then go to Gregor. Tell him I touched it. Why? Because you helped them complete their task. If I expose you now, your brother will die. You have time. The wedding is in 3 days. Find a way to get him out. She stared at me for a long moment. You don't hate me. I hate the one who set this trap. She took the bowl and stepped out. The door closed. The lock clicked. I stood in the stone chamber. Greythorn scent was thick enough to make me gag. Outside, the snow plains were shifting from gray-blue to pale gold. I smiled. Silent. Half a smile. In 3 days, everyone would smell Southern scent on me. Theodore would smell it. He'd think I'd betrayed him. But that's exactly what I wanted. Because the night he'd stood outside my door and held himself back locked his desire deep in his throat. And the tighter desire is locked, the more violently it explodes when triggered by betrayal. An explosion, public explosion, was exactly what I needed. Because I needed the entire North to see one thing. Gregor's mark and Theodore's contract on the same Omega. That wasn't private betrayal. That was territorial war. I sat on the edge of the stone bed, raising my graythorn-soaked right hand. Wind blew through the bars. I closed my eyes. Theodore, when you smell this, you'll rage. You'll grab my throat and demand answers. And I'll be waiting for you to come, for you to get close. When you do, what you'll smell beneath the graythorn and red earth isn't just southern scent. You'll smell your own alpha scent below my collarbone. The other end of the fate line. 2 marks. 1 body. Either you tear me apart with your own hands, or you tear Gregor apart. Either way I win. The N. I. Before the wedding, Cain came for the 3rd time. The queen's maid was found behind the stables this morning. Half a piece of bread still in her mouth. No bowl beside her. Is she dead? The wolf healer's working on her. Cain looked at me, his nostrils flaring. There's something on you. What do you smell? The south. Red earth. Hot ash. Graythorn. Everyone at the ceremony will smell it. Cain's fingers tightened on the doorframe. Splinters falling. Who did this? Gregor wants exactly T San Omega carrying both Northern Contract and Southern Mark. In Northern law, that makes me a double agent. He only needs to point it out at the ceremony. Theodore will have to handle me execution. What do you need? Make Theodore see me alone before the ceremony. Just one chance. How do you know it'll come to execution? Because tomorrow Gregor will accuse me. Isolde will back him. Theodore will smell the southern scent on me. Then he'll have 2 choices: execute me publicly to prove his authority, or shield a contract bride carrying a rival's mark. The second option, the 12 northern lords will see him as weak and unite to strip his throne. Isolde has been waiting for exactly that. Cain inhaled slowly and deeply. You knew this from the beginning. I knew from the moment I entered the North Tower. Gregor didn't come for tariffs. Isolde brought him as her witness. She's the former king's widow. She's always wanted her own son on the throne. Theodore is her only obstacle. And I, a southern-blooded stranger, am her perfect tool. Cain's hand released the doorframe. Knuckles bloody with splinters. Your mother left you something. 19 years of hiding didn't teach you to run. What I learned was to predict. 3 days ago when Gregor arrived, that chair was Isolde's arrangement. Its armrests were coated with red earth iron dust. When Theodore grabbed Gregor's collar, the dust transferred to his sleeve and belt buckle. The graythorn and the rust are 2 halves of the same trap. I need Theodore to figure it out himself. What do you need from me? At the ceremony, when he smells the graythorn and his face changes, step in and say just one thing. What did your belt buckle rub against 3 days ago? Cain stepped back. I'll be around the corner before dawn. Keep your mind sharp. He turned and walked away. I lay on the stone bed. Chains slid beneath me. I stared at the stone ceiling. Firelight flickering. Shadows swaying in slow gray waves. Tomorrow. The ceremony. Everyone present. 12 lords. Isolde's allies. Gregor's red robes. Theodore. Graythorn had soaked deep into my skin. When the sun rose to its peak tomorrow, the whole hall would reek of it. Cain would put those words into Theodore's ear. Then I'd wait for him to grab me. Then I'd speak in front of all the lords. Before he touched me, just one sentence. Your belt buckle rust which territories iron or left it? He'd freeze. Everyone would freeze. Because a traitor being dragged forward shouldn't ask that question. In that moment, Theodore would understand I was hit. He was hit with me. Either we fell together, or we broke the bow together. Wind from the snow plains blew through the bars. I closed my eyes. My heartbeat settled from quick to steady, to quiet, rhythmic waiting. When the sun set tomorrow, the North would have either an alpha and his contract bride on the dais, or an empty throne. I turned on my side. The chains pillowed under my head. The farthest star was visible through the window. My mother's last words echoed in my ear. You're alive today not because of luck. Because you saw the board before anyone else. And you knew whose piece was already dead. Tomorrow, the whole North would see it too. The morning of the ceremony. The snow stopped. The sky was rinsed gray-blue. Cain pushed open my door before dawn, using iron shears to cut the last link of my ankle chain. He sent you. He didn't speak. You can't walk to the ceremony dragging chains. He handed me a simple gray wool dress. Sleeves tight enough to cover the mark on my wrist. As I put it on, Cain faced the door. He stood on the tower all night. No cloak, no fire. When I brought him a leather coat, he asked me, "What do you smell?" I said, "Snow and iron." He said, "All I smell is snow and iron. Nothing else." That's wrong. My heart skipped. Graythorn should have fully saturated me. Any wolf within 3 steps should have clearly smelled it. Theodore stood on the tower. North wind from him to Mayhay should have been the first. But he said nothing. "Cain, you're standing 2 steps away. What do you smell?" His nostrils flared. "Yes, barely. So faint that if I didn't know, I'd think it was wind from outside." My fingers tightened on the belt edge. Graythorn's duration depends on blood flow. This mark should have been strong enough for every wolf within 10 feet to detect. But Cain said it was faint. In 3 days, it had faded. Only one explanation. My black witch blood was consuming the mark. My witch blood treated Graythorn as an invader. Theodore stood on the tower all night in the north wind. The wind overrode the Graythorn. He was testing, waiting to see what remained after the southern scent was stripped away. And he didn't smell it. Cain was silent. We both understood. Theodore stood on the tower all night. The north wind stripping away the outer layers. What he smelled underneath was my own scent, washed clean by northern snow. And that nothing else was the thing that had made him step back in the great hall. Gone. "Cain, tell him I need to see him before the ceremony." In the small prayer room behind the chapel. 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, I stepped into the prayer room. It was less than 5 paces wide. A narrow window cast a gray-white stripe across the stone floor. Theodore stood at the window, in black, his belt buckle gleaming cold white. He turned. "Speak." I took 2 steps closer, stopping an arm's length away. "You stood on the tower last night. What did you smell?" "Nothing. The scent on you was like paper soaked in water. Beneath it was emptiness." His voice cracked. "You know what that means. It means you're not my Omega. You can't smell that scent anymore. But is there anything else you do smell?" He inhaled lightly. Gold exploded from his pupils. He stepped back half a pace, his back hitting the windowsill. "You smelled it," I said. "Not Graythorn. Not the south." I pushed up my left sleeve. The black witch mark lay exposed in the light. My Omega scent was covered by black witch curse from birth. My mother sealed it with her blood to keep me alive. When Graythorn entered me, my witch blood digested it, but that process disturbed the seal itself. You stood on the tower waiting for Graythorn to fade. You didn't expect the black witch seal to thin along with it. So what you smell now is my true scent, hidden for 19 years, uncovered by curse. The scent of a normal Omega. I stepped forward. He pressed back against the windowsill. No retreat left. My face was close enough to see the gold spreading from his pupils across the whole iris. Close enough to feel his heartbeat faster, heavier. His gaze dropped to my lips. His hand raised, fingers touching my jaw so lightly they trembled. The bell rang 3 times from outside. The ceremony summons. Theodore's hand withdrew like it had touched fire. He turned to the window, spine straight. His voice came through gritted teeth. "Tell no one about the black witch seal dissolving at the ceremony. If someone smells, they'll only smell Graythorn residue and southern red earth. My true scent is too thin, only detectable within arm's reach. Nobody in the hall will get that close." Theodore glanced sideways. His profile in the backlight was a sharp gold line. "Accept me." He pushed the door open and walked out, boots fading down the corridor fast, heavy, like a drum against the ribs. I stood still, fingers pressed against my left wrist. Beneath the black scar, something was pulsing. 1, 2, warm, alive. The great hall doors opened, and candle heat washed over me. Hundreds of faces turned. Gregor stood third on the left in dark red leather, a waiting smirk on his face. Isolde stood on the right side of the high dais, dark green gown trailing, her perfect public smile in place. Theodore stood in the beam of light falling from the high ceiling window. Dark silver robes, his belt buckle flashing dark red rust in the metal grooves from red earth iron oxidation. I stopped at the carpet's end. The herald stepped forward. Theodore Greaves, Alpha King of the North. Lyanna Vark, daughter of the Southern Vark family. 2 bloodlines. 1 contract. Joined forever. Do you give your blood to the Northern King? Wait. Gregor stepped from the ranks. Boots on the carpet. Stopping in the center of the hall. Before this contract is sealed, there's something everyone needs to know. He walked toward me, stopping an arm's length away. My lords, do you know the scent of black witch blood? Greythorn juice on wolf skin. A woman carrying both black witch mark and Southern Territorial scent on the Northern King's dais. He turned sideways. Come forward. Smell for yourselves. The front rank lords moved. 1, 2, 3. They formed a half circle around me. 12 wolf lords' breaths surrounded me. Greythorn residue was rising from my skin thinner and thinner. The first approached. Southern Red E. Arth. Greythorn. The second. The third. They all smelled it. Gregor smiled. The Northern King's Soontobe contract bride carries Southern Territorial scent. Murmurs surged. Isolde rose from the dais. The Varks are Northern allies. The Varks are dead. Gregor turned to Theodore. Northern Law. Article 7. Section 3. Outsider carrying enemy scent is treason. What do you do? Theodore stepped off the dais. He walked through the half-circle of lords and stopped before me. Looked down at me. You carry Southern scent. Explain. I carry Southern Red Earth and Greythorn scent, but it wasn't voluntarily applied. 3 days ago a maid brought medicine to my North Tau. Our room. Saying it was the Queen's order. Her shoes carried red mud. Northern soil is gray-black. Only Southern Red Earth has dark red clay. The maid was planted by Gregor. Her brother is held in the Red Earth mines. She used Greythorn to plant Southern scent on me. The purpose was to accuse me of treason today. Proof. A lord's rough voice cut in. The maid is in the healer's room behind the stables. She was poisoned to silence her but survived. She woke this morning. She'll testify. Gregor's face changed color. But he still smiled. Even Soyu still carry Southern scent in this hall. Northern Law. Northern Law Article 7. Section 3. Addendum. Theodore's voice was low enough to silence the hall. Section 3 states outsider carrying enemy scent is treason. But Addendum 1 states if the mark was placed under duress and without knowledge, and the marker is under Northern jurisdiction, the mark is void. Gold was rising in Theodore's gray eyes. What's the name of the person who planted the mark? Gregor's Southern red-robed soldiers. They carried red earth or fragments for mixing Greythorn. Search their quarters. The ore will match the mud on the maid's shoes. Gregor stepped back. Everyone saw it. Theodore turned to face him. His back a wall before me. Gregor, when you planted a red earth mark on my contract bride, did you ever think about the simplest question? The night you arrived. My men searched every corner of the barracks. Gregor's face went white. When did you? The night you arrived. Theodore glanced at me over his shoulder, gold shattering in his eyes. I knew it 3 days ago, when the maid entered your room. Kane watched from the corner. He saw the red mud. My heart beat once. He'd known all along. He'd been waiting for today. Theodore turned back, facing the hall. The mark on contract bride Lyanna Vark is a coerced mark. Void. Lord Gregor used a northern ceremony for a marking scheme, under Northern Territorial reciprocity. Any subject of a territory who marks the Alpha King's immediate family directly challenges Northern sovereignty. You may leave now. Go prepare for next month's Territorial Council. I'll renegotiate Red Earth's tariffs, mineral rights, border demarcations. Gregor's lips parted without sound. He turned, walked. The great doors closed behind him with a heavy thud. Dead silence. Isolde stepped down from the dais. Her pace fast for a moment before she slowed, reassembling her perfect smile. The ceremony can continue. Theodore didn't look at her. He looked at me. The gold in his gray eyes was burning. The contract continues, he said low. For me alone. Tonight I'll come to the North Tower myself. The North Tower door was unlocked. The hearth was lit pine and birch crackling. A new wool blanket lay on the stone bed, gray with silver thread. The iron bars on the window had been removed. And night wind came through the opening. I stood at the threshold. Theodore had his back to me at the window, dark silver robes gleaming in the firelight. Close the door. I closed it. He turned. His face no longer carried the hall's cold hardness. Something moved in his eyes. Gold blazing gold. Like molten iron poured into gray stone, cracking it open from within. Come closer. I walked, stopping an arm's length away. Today. Don't speak. His voice was rough. Strained all day to breaking. Show me. I pushed up my left sleeve. The black witch mark's edges were fainter than this morning, like ink spreading in water. Theodore stared at it. His breathing changed. He raised his hand. His fingers touching my wrist hotter than before. His fingers traced the mark's edge. When everyone was watching you today, he said. You stood under that light. You spoke. Your voice was steadier than anyone I know. But I saw your hand. My fingers curled slightly. You were shaking. You hid it in your sleeve. But you forgot one person on the dais was watching, not your face but all of you. I looked up at him. How? An arm's distance. His breath touched my forehead, pine smoke and snow. Why didn't you expose Isolde? No proof. Gregor was the hand. The maid was the tool. Isolde was the mind. Nothing connects directly to her. If I'd exposed her today, she'd have pinned it on Gregor. A dead man can't testify. Gregor won't die. He will. Next month's territorial council. Red Earths or all passes through northern passes. Change the terms. His territory collapses within 3 months. His lords will turn on him. When he comes to negotiate, he'll give up Isolde. He looked down at me. The corner of his mouth moved, not a smile, but recognition. You thought of everything. I was hunted for 19 years. People who don't think like this don't live. Theodore was silent for a moment. Then he lowered himself. His face near my wrist. His nose almost touching the dissolving mark. He closed his eyes. Inhaled. His breath stopped. A vein jumped at his temple. Still there. Stronger. In the hall it was just fog. Now he looked up. Gold flooding both irises like molten copper. Now it's so strong I'm about to lose control. Your mother covered your omega scent with black witch curse. But did she ever think cover the scent? Cover the mark. Cover the smell, but can you cover fate? The moment I saw your face in the hall, that thing couldn't hold. My head was full of one sound. Your blood and mine came from the same vein. Nothing to do with scent. Nothing to do with mark. That was in the bones. He stepped forward half a pace. His chest heat came through the dark silver robes like a sun-warmed wall. I smelled his scent, fur. Forged iron. Alpha fire surging. 3 days ago I said this contract was a transaction. Said I'd never love you. When I said those words I already smelled it. The moment your hood fell. It hit me. I stepped back. Pushed you away. Locked you here. Because if I hadn't stepped back I'd have pressed you against the wall in front of everyone. His hand slid from my wrist. Up my forearm. Stopping at my shoulder. He lowered his head. Forehead touching mine. Skin to skin. Heat to heat. Your mark is almost gone. When it's gone, your omega scent will release completely. Every wolf for 100 miles will smell it. After that, I can't lock you anywhere. I raised my hand. My fingers touched his jaw. Palm against his chin. Fingertips behind his ear. Then don't lock me. His body tensed to breaking. Then he let go explosively. Like the last stone pulled from a cracked wall. Bringing the whole thing down. His arm went around my back. Pulling me into him hard enough to make me stumble. My face hitting his chest. His heartbeat came through fast and heavy. A drum. His hand pressed into my nape. Holding my head to the hollow below his collarbone. His lips touched the crown of my head. You won. The contract was fake. The transaction was fake. 3 days of cold face, all fake. Only one thing was real, you standing under that light. Your hood falling. You said, then let them fall. You already knew I would fall. I closed my eyes. My fingers clenched in the fabric of his robe. Outside, the wind over the snow plains had stopped. The moon had risen to its highest point. Light pouring through the open window across the stone floor. The wool blanket. The shadows of two bodies overlapping. His last words came low against my hair. I'm not keeping you because of a contract. I'm keeping you because of who you are. I pressed my face into his chest, where the black witch mark had once been. A thin warmth spread, not sweat. Not blood. Something seeping from beneath the skin. Cool and soft as moonlight. The mark was dissolving. And something new was growing.